helping you navigate the rocky path of fulfilling employment. Here's our career Sherpa, Julie Bauke.
Yeah, it's all not serious. Well, it kind of is, actually. Julie Bauke from the Bauke Group this morning with Sloaney, as she often joins me on Wednesday mornings, even in advance of opening day tomorrow. Fortunately, your segment does not fall on opening day because no one wants your business tips on opening day. When you're trying to forget who you work for, you're getting hammered, and you're about to enjoy a 4-day weekend. That being said, Julie Bauke, what kind of a-hole holds a meeting on opening day?
I think it's the same person who, as a teacher, gave an exam, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, right, or the day before spring break. They're just total buzzkills.
Yeah, there's always that guy, right? And
right.
I'm going to guess that there are probably some managers out there that are thinking, you know what, tomorrow would be a good day to have a meeting. Like right about the time the game is on, because we want to make sure you're doing your job. And even though the meeting's pointless, the topic this morning with Julie Bauke, our Career Sherpa, is how to make sure your meeting doesn't suck. Because we've all, I don't care where you work, there's been meetings, and no one enjoys going to meetings. It's a trick question. Do all meetings suck by definition?
Not necessarily, but there was this group did a study on meetings and the unproductivity of meetings, and I don't know how you measure this exactly, but first of all, Salary.com did a survey, and too many meetings was the top time waster at the office. 47% of people said too many meetings was the top time waster. Another study showed that 700 million hours will be lost in U.S. workplaces this year to unnecessary or wasteful meetings. Now, we all have a different definition of unnecessary or wasteful, and probably the person who called the meeting and runs the meeting doesn't find them unnecessary or wasteful. So sometimes there's that different level of perception between the person calling and running the meeting and the people actually forced to show up and sit through the meeting. So that's problem number one is, why are you having the meeting? Are we having the meeting just because I want to hear myself talk, which is a lot of the problem?
Yes.
Yes. How many meetings have you been to where the person who called the meeting is literally just imparting information instead of really soliciting input and getting anything productive done?
Answer here would be all of them.
Yeah. Well, and if that's the purpose, if you're having a meeting, let's have a meeting, I want to tell you about this new policy, that's one thing, or this new program or this issue we're having with the customer, but so really one of the solutions is get really clear up front about what the intent is of the meeting. And what do you want at the end of this 45 minutes or hour or 2 hours, God forbid, or whatever it is, what will make it, when looking back, everyone say, that was worth my time?
Right.
So what's the purpose of it? So if we always have meetings on Tuesday, but you can't really come up with anything productive to say or do this Tuesday, cancel the meeting. So part of it is really starting with the end in mind. Like any good project, take a look at your meetings that way. At the end of this, what do we hope to accomplish? And once I get clear on what I hope to accomplish, the second question then becomes, am I inviting the right people that can actually move this forward, or are we all just going to sit around and look at each other because the people who are really going to be able to move that forward aren't in the meeting? Am I holding this meeting to get information? Am I holding this meeting to get agreement? Am I holding this meeting to give information? So you talk about starting with an agenda. I think it goes deeper than that. I think it starts with intention. So why are we having this meeting?
Yeah.
And, when you start there, then you can answer the question, how long does the meeting need to be? Mm-hmm. Are the right people there? Yep. And then how do we need to approach this topic? What are the resources we need? How are we going to bring this up? And instead of just showing up and just, everyone kind of, everyone just sort of talks until the time's up and everyone has to go back to work and you've got people sitting there on their phones and nobody's doing anything. Why don't you start up front and say, what's the intention for this meeting? And then at the end, you can then ask yourself, did we accomplish what we set out to by wasting or by using up the time of these 6 people?
I love how you said wasting, too. Yeah. Generally, I found generally the small group meetings tend to be more productive because there's a focus and it's had by when they have the entire company meetings, those are the when we bring, for example, I'll pull a curtain back here. Generally, we bring people in from corporate. The big corporate guys. Yep. You got corporate. I make sure that I am not going to that meeting, because I've been to many of those in the past. And now that I'm older and I don't care, it's like, well, what are you going to say? Well, you just got to be, well, what's the topic? Well, we don't know.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Right.
Well, you got to be there. It's mandatory. Okay. And what happens if I don't make the mandatory meeting? Well, it's mandatory. All right. Save me a seat.
Yeah.
And then invariably I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to that. It's stupid. And then I go, what happened to the meeting? Nothing. Well,
Yeah.
and it happens all the time. And I'm sure, every company, every big company has that, right? It's like, what?
Yeah.
Why are we having a meeting? You tell me what the focus is, and no, it's mandatory. Okay, well, what are we talking about? Well, I don't know. It's a secret. Like, okay, well, if it's that big, it would have leaked out already, or it's going to be stupid. And 99 times out of 99, it's stupid.
Yeah, and I think that's true. I think if one of the things that I saw this quote, Jeff Bezos said in his meetings, if it takes more than 2 pizzas to feed the group, the meeting's too big.
That's a real good quote.
Yeah. And so the bigger the meetings get, I think the easier it is for people to hide, stick on their phones, not participate. The harder it is to get any agreement moving forward. The harder it is to get a point across. It's just, so inviting everybody just because you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings is actually also counterproductive. Oh, wait a minute, I wasn't in that meeting. I wonder if I'm going to get laid off.
Right, exactly.
When you're super clear about what the meeting is for and who are the key people to be there, and do you need everybody in the department, or do you just need one person from a department to take the message back? If you really started adding up, if you've got 7 people sitting in a meeting for an hour, and then there's the time to get there, get back to your desk, and, chitter-chatter along the way, it's probably 90 minutes. That's over a full day of productivity. Another tip that I've heard used really successfully is rotate the meeting leadership.
Yep.
If you have a staff meeting every month or every week, rotate who leads the meeting. You'll get completely different perspectives. You'll get, someone coming at things from, with different information, and you actually will get better engagement because the people who show up in a meeting as participants and they know they're only ever going to be participants, it's like blah, 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 blah. That's all you hear.
Yep.
And so if they know that, hey, next month it may be my turn to lead a meeting, you're going to get better engagement every month because they know they're going to be on the hot seat next month. It's just, it causes better engagement, better intention, better participation, and it just causes people to, frankly, just pay attention and get more focused on the outcomes.
I got a blast here from a guy who said that he solved this by the place where they have the meetings. He removed all of the sit-down tables and all the chairs and just had high-top tables, no chairs whatsoever, solve the problem.
Yep, those are called huddles, or
that's a huddle room. Okay, good.
Meetings, right? Or we just have a
do that.
I forget what they call them, but just where everybody just stands up, and they're like, okay, when people are standing up, they have to pay attention. They can't, slack in their chair and hide their phone under the table. And everybody's going to be more interested in getting things resolved so they can leave that standing up meeting. It just creates, and there's companies and organizations that have one of those every morning. It's like, what are the key things we're worried about today?
Right.
What do we need to get done today? What are our potential gotchas today? What do we need to be looking out for? And then you get to it. And so, just pulling together a meeting to hear yourself talk. Mm-hmm. Most leaders will tell you at the end of a meeting, I think that meeting went well. But if you ask the people in the meeting, chances are, they would disagree. And so really ask yourself, why am I having this meeting? What can I do to make it more productive? And do we need to have it at all?
Do a lot of managers typically, I don't know if it's been surveyed or not, how many meetings are actually necessary?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, if you are if you've got a project team working on tight deadlines where everybody has to keep up with what everybody else is doing, probably you really could utilize a quick get together in the morning. Maybe a sales team that's working together to close some sales. Maybe it makes sense, but in other departments, does it really? I mean, I have a team meeting with my staff once a week, and sometimes it's 30 minutes, sometimes it's an hour and a half. It just depends on what we have to get done, and I know that up front.
Do you feed them? Do you bring food in for this?
I do not, no. But we usually have.
No, you're a horrible manager.
No, this is even better. They bring their dogs, and I have dog treats. We have dogs at our meetings. It's wonderful.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
course, you can't. I mean, eventually, the dog's got to pee, right?
What?
Plus, you have an out. You go, my dog. Either you end of the meeting, or it's going to crap right here. So I got to get. I got to get going.
Like, I'm out of snacks. You got to go. But yeah, I mean,
Right.
yeah, I mean, if we don't have anything to talk about, I'm the least patient person for wasting time.
Well, if you hire good people,
else.
and again, you have a lot of self-confidence too, Julie Bauke, which a lot of managers don't. And I think the less you have, the more meetings, and you have to, there's hierarchy and flow charts. And, you know, if I hire the best people and I trust you to do your job, I don't need to be breathing down your neck.
Exactly. That is, you know, honestly, that's the only way I could have people on my team, because I can't stand to babysit. I have zero patience for babysitting.
Do your job.
I have to be able to trust that you're doing what you're doing. And luckily, my people are phenomenal. I know they're going above and beyond every day, because I am a terrible babysitter.
Yeah, and you let people go, give them say, hey, you know, if there's a problem, let me know about it, and you're like the counselor in that case too. And occasionally you have a meeting to get everybody's on the same page. We're on the same page, good. But you know, the rah things, it's like I don't get that whole thing. It's almost as if a lot of these managers, Julie Bauke, will have meetings and the like, and not appreciate that my time is also valuable, that I am outside of business hours or whatever it is, in the course of my duties. I get it. You know, I have to have meetings so everyone's on the same page. I understand that. I'm not necessarily anti-meeting, but when you don't know what it's about, when there's no direction, there's no cohesiveness, it's an insult to me. And I would say this for any worker out there, that somehow our time isn't valuable.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And boy, we've all been meeting to death, and so everybody who's listening, maybe if you're not a leader of your group, you can suggest rotating leadership at the meeting. You could suggest having stand-up meetings. You could suggest getting really clear up front on what are we trying to accomplish, and then at the end of the meeting, did we accomplish what we set out to accomplish? If not, why not?
Yeah,
your frustration level will go down as well.
Julie Bauke, our Career Sherpa on the Scott Sloan Show, 700 WOW. We're talking about, obviously, the necessity of meetings, that everyone's meetinged out. Do we have to continue having all these stupid meetings, meetings about meetings, for crying out loud? She's on the AcuteHearingCenters.com hotline, as she is every Wednesday morning, to talk about this. Now, what about conference calls? Isn't that just a meeting in a different form?
It is. It's actually worse, because you are getting less of people's attention on a conference call than you are when they're sitting around a table, because they're doing 12 other things. I guarantee you they're doing 12 other things.
Oh, God. I've golfed with guys before. We're golfing, and they're on a conference call, but they're not even, they've got it on mute.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everybody does it. I have a friend who was like on a conference call, and she actually fell asleep. And she woke up, and she's like, oh, crap. What did I miss? But nobody, if you're sitting in a conference room and you fall asleep, people are going to notice. But if you're sitting at home and someone's droning on about something, then you get up and, you watch a video, or you start going through your email, or you start texting, or, whatever it is. And so you do that. So it's even more important to value people's time on a conference call, because their attention span is much smaller. It's just human nature.
Well, not only that, I can put mute on and pretend I'm there and get credit for it. I'd rather do a conference call than a meeting where I got to come in.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's no fake in that. You got to act I don't act like I'm, if they make me go to a meeting and you're disengaging, I'm not going to pay attention. I'm going to be on my phone. And they'll ask, well, you should pay attention. I was like, well, shouldn't you be saying something to hold my interest that I don't already know? You're wasting my time. Let's go, fella.
Exactly. Yeah. An hour-long conference call that does not have a tight agenda and scheduled outcomes.
The worst.
And frankly, expect something from the people on the call. If you're just expecting people to listen in, some will, and some will, like I said, be doing about anything else. They can make it look like they're listening in. And so make it so important and so rare that you have these long calls that people actually want to be there and pay attention, because they know if they don't, they're going to miss something.
And Julie, like how about the dumbass that any questions, and they just ask question after question, and they won't shut the hell up. What about that guy?
That's the same person who asked all the questions right before lunch and the end of the day when you were in elementary school or high school, right?
Yeah. You just look at him and go, numbnuts, quiet, just shut the hell up. It's like, and they'll ask questions that was already covered in this thing. Or that are just so basic and inane. They're like, and I love when the managers go, you know what, just see me after the meeting, because they even get these people are too stupid to be employed.
Exactly. And then also the concept of parking lots. Have you been in a meeting where topics are put on the parking lot? Like a flip chart or something separate where if somebody brings up something that's off topic
Yeah.
and isn't relevant, like always happens, you note it to the side so that it doesn't get lost, because it might be important, just might not be relevant to the objectives of the meeting.
Right.
And then you say, well, that's a great point. Let's put this over here and address this separately. And you can do the same thing, because people will start asking questions. Like when I do webinars or seminars or things, people will start asking questions that only apply to them. And there's 50 or 100 people sitting there.
Right.
Like, well, okay, we're not going to take up everybody else's time. I'll say, let's talk for a minute afterwards. Yeah, so there's a lot of there's a lack of awareness.
I'm guessing that's the thing
is
the people who also hit reply all to an email. We may save that for a later time. Julie Bauke.
Or like group text. Someone's texting you and like 10 other people, and you don't know any of the phone numbers. And everyone responds with just like one-word answers. And sometimes I'm like trying to find my way out of them. Like, and you hate to say to the person, please don't put me on these in the future. But it's just, I guess it's quick for the communicator. But
I don't know. I got one I had to block because it was like some sort of, I don't know I got on like some 16-person Mormon prayer group thing. I'm like, what is happening right now? And my phone's blowing up. Stop, leave me alone.
I know.
You sound like I'm a Mormon. Anyway, 6 minutes away from news. We'll do that in just seconds here, too. Julie Bauke is our career Sherpa. More Bauke, the Bauke Group. That's Bauke, thebaukegroup.com. She's a career and job coach and the best in the world. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you, bud.
Thank you, Julie.